Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all my Future Card Buddyfight Dragon 9 Ozzy Dahaka deck profile for October 2021. Following with the Future Card Buddyfight deck profiles I've been updated, I decided to update Dragon 9. This is actually a deck that definitely does get overlooked, being one of the first alternate flags we ever received in the card game, and we're going with the new support from the Buddy Ragnarok set for Ozzy Dahaka Revival Buddy, working with the Equalta items that you can equip after you destroy Ozzy Dahaka. A very, very fun deck that focuses on all the different dragon item and spells and whatnot that we run in the deck for a very, very powerful deck. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for our go-to flag being Dragon 9, our buddy monster is Demise Demonic Dragon, Ozzy Dahaka Revival Buddy. With this card being our main go-to buddy monster in the deck, I want to run 4 copies of it in total. This card is your powerhouse in the deck, having quadruple attack for that option. And also, when this card is destroyed, you put this card into the soul of up to 1 spell on your field and equip up to 1 Demonic Demise Sword, Equalta from your hand or deck. If you looked into your deck, shuffle it. This ability is also treated as an ability of Demonic Demise Dragon, Ozzy Dahaka. And when an item on your field attacks alone, if this card's in the soul of Dragon Throne, it attacks your opponent and all their monsters instead. And for this turn, it gets plus 10,000 power and triple attack. So with your main go-to item in the deck being your Demonic Demise Sword, Equalta having 6 critical and 12,000 power, gaining the triple attack, and also just having, if your opponent card's attacks alone, you nullify the attack on the defense, but you nullify the soul guard of all monsters this card attacks. So a quite scary item to use and go up against your opponent with this card. Setting this card up in Dragon Throne is your main go-to way of putting it into a spell on the field, which you need to have on the field to begin with, since Ozzy Dahaka is a size 4 monster anyway. So with this card, it's your go-to ace monster being the powerful Revival Buddy. With this card attacking alone, and with Equalta you can hit over pretty much any number of life your opponent may have on the field. For our backup numbers for Ozzy Dahaka, I am also running 3 of the Mark of Transgression, Ozzy Dahaka Sis. This one is in the deck because I still like to run the dual wield option of the Equalta giving me 2 different swords equipped when this card is destroyed. I may pay 1 life. If I do equip up to 1, a total of 2 items with Equalta and their card name from your hand or deck. If you looked into your deck, shuffle it. This ability is also treated as the ability of Demonic Demise Dragon, Ozzy Dahaka. This card has triple attack, so I'd say it's not as strong as the new Revival Buddy, but it's the only way we can activate having both of the different swords equipped, which can give you more of a defensive playstyle against your opponent, being able to stop not only link attacks, but the solo attacks thanks to the original Equalta. And lastly, for more of the combo setup, I run 2 Reincarnate Demonic Dragon, Ozzy Dahaka. This is a size 3 Ozzy Dahaka, so very, very useful if we don't have Dragon's Thrones. We can at least call a boss monster onto the field. It has move, triple attack, and also just gives us a search option, and also the option to pay a life to stand all items on our field. So we can restand our Equalta for even more attacks with this card, and also for the fact that all cards on your field cannot be rested by your opponent's card effects, gives us ways for us to attack before our opponent prevents the resting of any of our swords. For more additional monster support for the Dragon 9 deck, I also run 4 Dragon Knight Cagliostro. This card, when this card enters the field, if your flag is Dragon 9, you draw a card, and also Ein's Alchemy only activates once per turn. I still like to run 4 of it. This card is a great draw power in the deck, and also most of the time just my go-to card that I sacrifice to call out Ozzy Dahaka from my hand onto the field. So each turn you just have that draw power available to you, being able to just have the requirements met. Since your flag will always be Dragon 9, it's a definite 4 of for sure. Another 4 of is just more of the search power for either Dragon Throne or Ozzy Dahaka, and that is Spawn of the Demonic Dragon, Abyss Gate. When it enters the field, you may discard a hand card. If you do, put up to the top card of your deck into your gauge, and put up to 1 Dragon Throne or size 3 or greater Ozzy Dahaka and its card name from your deck into your hand, and shuffle your deck. So whether you need a specific Ozzy Dahaka, which we do run a good number of different different ones. So most of the time, I just end up searching Dragon Throne with this card, so you can have the size limit met on the field using this card. So it's a definite 4. If it's a size 0, so you can even just keep this card on the field after you call out Azidahaka, being another added plus for sure. For some of the lower numbers for the monsters, I also run 2 Dragon Knight Pissarro. When you hit this card having Bloody History as its skill, you may rest this card. If you do, draw a card. You may only use Bloody History once per turn. So you can rest this card and then just draw into, let's say, the needed Azidahaka. Then you can destroy by putting it onto the field to then buddy call out your Azidahaka. Having this card being rested, it will just be the sacrifice needed for your buddy call, or just regular call of Azidahaka to begin with. And lastly, for the monsters, I also run 2 Operative Sphere, being another dragon. It's just great for the additional setup. We do run different worlds, being Darkness Dragon World and Dragon World in this deck. With this card being Dragon World, as long as we have a Darkness Dragon World on the field, we'll gain the additional draw with this card along with the gauge and life setup. And then as for the items in the deck, I run 2 Demonic Demise Sword, Aqualta Gwyneth, and also 2 Deity Sword of Creations, Aqualta Gwyneth. Both of these cards, with the first one being used with the Revival Buddy, and then the Deity Sword of Creation being used with Azidahaka Sis. You have the option to equip both of them when you use Sis, and with the Deity Sword of Creation, the only way you can get it out into the field is with Sis, but if you are being link attacked, you may discard a hand card and pay a life. If you do, nullify the attack. This is where this card comes into shine, being more of the defensive play style. You have other spells to work great with the original Aqualta Gwyneth, but it's definitely fun just to have the option of equipping both of the swords to use against your opponent, which is why I still run the combo in the deck. That is it for the monsters and items. We'll now move on to the spells. I run 3 Dragon Throne. I feel 3 is all you need. 4 really does seem like a dead draw. Since you can only run this card if your flag is Dragonine, you may put monsters with total size 4 on the field, and this card items on your field cannot be returned to the hand or destroyed, and the abilities of this card cannot be nullified. So with this card being searched out by Abyss Gate, you have plenty of search there, along with one other spell. So if you open up this card, or the many ways to search it, you really don't need multiple other copies. I only run the 3 just in case, I accidentally gauged the 2 of them, so at least I have another target to go for. One of the best spells in the entire deck is Disaster Palace. This card gives you one of 2 options to activate, and you can activate if your flag is either Danger World, Legend World, Darkness Dragon World, or Dragonine. You can either stand all items on your field, or for this turn, all cards in your opponent's field cannot link attack. You also draw a card for the counter, so the fact that you will stop your opponent on their turn by making it so they can't link attack, with only cards being able to attack alone, you can block them with the Azidahaka Revival Buddy, giving you the Aqualta Gwyneth, which then will nullify any single attack that your opponent tries to swing at you. And I also run 4 Sinister Symphony. This card is, once again, search power. You can only activate it if your flag is Dragonine. You choose and put one of the following 2. For this turn, you can either give your item Penetrate and double attack, or you can put up to 1 Azidahaka and Dragon Throne from your deck into your hand. I most of the time use it for the search power, but if I were to have that search ready to go, then the second one will definitely just put the additional strength to my sword that I have on the field. And Sinister Symphony is your go-to card if you don't have Abyss Gate, to just add the 2 needed cards into your hand, which will either be Azidahaka and then your go-to spell needed to call out Azidahaka, which is Dragon Throne. And I also run 4 Abyss Jagia. This is another card that can just easily call out Azidahaka from the drop zone, making it so it can't be rest and its abilities can't be nullified by your opponent's card effects. So if you have your Aqualta Gwyneth on the field after destroying Azidahaka, you can at least then activate Abyss Jagia, calling out Azidahaka again to the left or right. Then you have your swords to attack your opponent, along with the powerful triple or quadruple attack of Azidahaka, depending on which version you call out. And for some more additional spells in the deck, I also run 3 Link Dragon's Orders Link. You drop the top 3 cards, actually the top 2 cards of your deck, and choose and use one of the following 2. You put the top 3 cards of your deck into your gauge and gain 1 life, or destroy a monster on the field. And it doesn't have to be one of your opponent's monsters either. You can destroy one of your own monsters, and if you destroy Azidahaka, that's just a quicker way for you to get your Aqualta Gwyneths equipped, because once Azidahaka is destroyed, you have the cost to pay to then equip those swords. You can do it all in one turn if you open up this card also. For more draw power, I also run 4 Divine Dragon Creation. You have plenty of life with Dragon Iron starting at 12, but what you do need is some hand power, and this is where this card comes in handy, just giving you the additional draw to hopefully draw into more important cards like Disaster Palace or even your Dragon Throne, or the cards to search it out. With the final cards in the deck for more protection power against my opponent, I run 2 Blade Dragon Shield. You nullify the attack. Then if you have 1 or less card in your hand and you have 2 life or less, or if you have 2 life or less, you draw a card. So this draw power and just additional shielding against your opponent if your center is open and you don't have the life to pay with one of your Aqualta Gwyneths for the shield cost. And lastly, for just some recycle power, 1 Sky Dragon Divinity. This card is just recycle power. Let's say we gauge our Aqualta Gwyneth swords. This is a great way to recycle them back into the deck for us to re-equip. It has happened before to me, so this is just the best way to avoid that, being able to activate this and then get those cards back into the deck to reuse. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. It's definitely a fun way to start off the month of October with one of the more sinister decks from the Future Card Buddyfight anime used by Gaia and Kilya, and also still one of my favorite alternative flag decks to run, being Dragon Ein and also Dragon Zwei. I've done plenty of updates for Dragon Zwei, but I'm finally glad I got around to actually updating Dragon Ein also. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Qualia out.